Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this evening's special edition of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. Please note that we have 4 members in attendance, with Mr. Robertson being excused. With that, I will begin the meeting, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commission members, thank you very much for being here on this special Tuesday evening. I do not see any old business, but first, before we get to that, we have some minutes to approve. Not this time. We will take care of that next time.
Thank you.
Right, exactly. So with no old business on the docket, we'll move straight into our new business. This evening, we'll be hearing a few different resolutions, and Mr. Bontrager, if you'd like a 100,000-foot overview for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll start here with the first one, Resolution 2022-03. This is the amending declaratory resolution for the Consolidated Economic Development Area. And what that all means is we are working on the Hickory Junction Fieldhouse project, and we need to set up the allocation area associated with that district so that we can pay the bonds that we're going to be issuing as part of that development, which are what the next 2 resolutions are associated with as the bonds. So this first one is the Fieldhouse allocation area. There are certain parcels that have already been established in that area, but then there are also some additional parcels we're adding to it. When we're looking at the financing side of this, looking at the projects that are going to benefit from the infrastructure that's associated with this development, there are 2 additional industrial projects that are happening on the west side of State Road 39 that are going to benefit from the improvements to State Road 39. Felt it was appropriate to add those to the allocation area and allow the increment associated with those projects to help us finance the project itself. So that's what this first one does, is it's setting up that Fieldhouse allocation area and adding those parcels to it. So be happy to answer any questions there are, and then of course Catherine's here to add further detail if needed.
Awesome. So with that, we'll first have Rob read our resolution in for us. And just as a reminder, this will be a public hearing tonight. So, okay, so that's on 4 and 5. Yep, correct. Got it.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission. This resolution 2022-03, again, is a resolution that amends the declaratory resolution for the Lebanon Consolidated Economic Development Area and approving an amendment to the plan for this area. The Lebanon Redevelopment Commission, the governing body of the Lebanon Department of Redevelopment of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, and the Lebanon Redevelopment District, previously adopted and amended resolutions that is defined as the declaratory resolution that established and expanded an economic development area known as the Lebanon Consolidated Economic Development Area. It also designated certain portions of that area known as allocation areas for the purposes of Indiana Code, which include, among other things, allocation areas designated as the 2017 expansion area, the Fieldhouse allocation area, and approving an economic development plan for the area containing specific recommendations for economic development in the area, and that's defined as the plan pursuant to Indiana Code. Whereas this commission now desires to further amend the declaratory resolution and the plan to expand the boundaries of the area by adding the addition of the parcels that are described in Exhibit A, that's defined as the 2022 expansion area, and designate the entire 2022 expansion area as part of the Fieldhouse allocation area, as well as remove the parcels that are described in Exhibit B from the 2017 expansion area and include those parcels in the Fieldhouse allocation area, as well as adopt the supplement to the plan that's attached here as Exhibit C to add the additional projects. Whereas the Commission has caused to be prepared maps and plats showing the boundaries of the Fieldhouse expansion area, as well as the location of various parcels of property, streets, alleys, and other features that are defined for the redevelopment of the Fieldhouse expansion area. Whereas the 2022 amendments and supporting data were reviewed and considered at this meeting. Pursuant to the Act, it has been created and amended to permit the creation and expansion of allocation areas and to provide for the allocation and distribution of property taxes for the purposes and in the manner provided in this section. Whereas the Commission deems it advisable to apply the provisions of these sections to the 2022 amendments. Therefore, the 2022 amendments promote significant opportunities for the gainful employment of the citizens of the city, for the attraction of new business enterprises to the city, retention and expansion of significant business enterprises existing in the boundaries of the cities, and meets the other purposes of Indiana Code, including without limitation benefiting the public, health, safety, and welfare, and increasing the economic well-being of the city and the state of Indiana. Further, the 2022 plan supplement for the field house expansion area cannot be achieved by regulatory process or the ordinary operation of private enterprise without resort to the powers provided in the Act because of the lack of local public improvements or existence of conditions that lower the value of the land below that of the nearby land. Further, the public health and welfare will be benefited by the accomplishment of the 2022 plan supplement for the field house expansion area. Additionally, the accomplishment of the 2022 amendments will be a public utility and benefit as measured by the attraction or retention of permanent jobs, increase in the property tax base, improvement of diversity of economic base, and other similar benefits. Further, the 2022 plan supplement conforms to other development and redevelopment plans for the city. The 2022 amendments are reasonable and appropriate when considered in relation to the declaratory resolution, the plan, and the purposes of the Act. And the declaratory resolution and plan as amended by the 2022 amendments conform to the comprehensive plan for the city. The findings and determinations set forth in the declaratory resolution and the plan are hereby confirmed. The 2022 plan supplement does not contemplate the acquisition of property, and the Commission does not at this time propose to acquire any specified parcel of land or interest within the boundaries of the field house expansion area. If in the future the Commission proposes to acquire specific parcels of land, the required procedures of Indiana Code will be followed. The Commission finds that no residents of the area, including the field house expansion area, will be displaced by any project resulting from the 2022 plan supplement. The declaratory resolution is hereby amended to include or to add the 2022 expansion area to the area, and the 2022 expansion area is hereby designated as an economic development area under Indiana Code. The entire field house expansion area is hereby added to the existing field house allocation area as an allocation area pursuant to Section 39 of the Act. The Commission hereby finds and determines, based upon its review of the proposed field house expansion area and its reasonable expectation of growth and assessed value based on information provided by prospective developers, the adoption of the foregoing allocation provision with respect to the field house allocation area will result in new property taxes in the field house and expansion area that would not have been generated but for the adoption of such allocation provision. The base assessment date for the field house expansion area shall be January 1, 2022. The foregoing allocation provisions relating to the field house expansion areas shall expire on a date which 25 years after the date on which the first obligation is incurred to pay principal and interest on bonds or lease rentals on leases payable from tax increment derived from the field house expansion area. The 2022 amendments in all respect are hereby approved. The presiding officer of the Commission is authorized and directed to submit the resolution to the City of Lebanon Plan Commission for its approval. The Commission further directs the presiding officer to submit this resolution in the approving order of the Plan Commission to the Common Council of the City for its approval of the 2022 amendments. Following receipt of the written order of the approval of the Plan Commission and any approval by the city council. The commission also directs the presiding officer to publish notice of adoption and substance of this resolution in accordance with Indiana Code, and to file the notice with the Plan Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, or any other department or agency of the city concerned with planning, zoning variances, land use, or issuance of building permits. The commission also directs the presiding officer to prepare or cause to be prepared a statement disclosing the impact of the Fieldhouse expansion area that will include the estimated economic benefit and costs incurred as measured by increased employment and anticipated growth of real property, personal property, as well as inventory of assessed values. The anticipated impact on tax revenues for each taxing unit that is either wholly or partly located within the Fieldhouse expansion area. Except as set forth herein, the boundaries of the area, the 2017 expansion area, and the Fieldhouse allocation area will remain unchanged by the adoption of the 2022 amendments. The provisions of this resolution shall be subject in all respect to the acts and any amendments thereto, and this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption by the commission.
Next. That was a lot.
Do have one minor correction, or maybe
Yes.
it's not minor, but on Exhibit A, the first parcel number, instead of 50779, it should be 50770. And I have a corrected copy here with the maps and everything included, and I'll provide that to Tanya right now.
Perfect. So a small correction just in the parcel number. So our resolution is now read in. Catherine, do you have any other notes for us? Okay, perfect. So in regards to this resolution, which is 2022-03, any questions or comments from the commission? So just a quick overview, this is mainly a financial function to set the allocation area for the field house project. So that's what this first resolution does, in a lot less words than what Rob just used.
Declaratory resolution, declare it the.
Yeah, we're amending the original declaratory resolution that we just went through. Yeah.
It's an amendment to the declaratory where we declared the resolution.
Gotcha. Okay.
So with that, I would entertain a motion in regards to Resolution 2022-03.
Move we accepted the resolution 2022-03 as presented.
And just to confirm, that's the presented new one with the
New, correct.
updated,
With the addition of
Correct parcel.
50770.
awesome. So we have a motion
I'll second it.
with a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion does carry. So that is the first resolution on our docket, which is 2022-03. Moving on to 2022-04. And I believe we are going to present these in a completely separate fashion, correct?
Yes,
Because,
yes, I want to do these separately and have this public hearing for each.
perfect.
I will be extremely brief here and turn it over to Catherine. These next two resolutions are associated with the leases for the lease rental bonds. One for, this first one for the Fieldhouse project, which is actually the financing of the construction of the facility itself. And then the second one, Resolution 05, would be then for the public infrastructure associated with the project. So this first one that's before you here, then will be the financing and leases associated with the construction of the Fieldhouse building itself. So with that, I'll turn it over to Catherine to kind of walk through the details of this resolution.
All right. I believe on May 9th, when the RDC met, we approved a preliminary form of the lease. We've had a few updates, revisions to the lease, and you've been provided the red lines. Some of those are as a result of discussion with Baker Tilly, just based on how the bonds will be sold and certain things that we need in the lease. Others were just minor corrections. And as we've discussed previously, the Redevelopment Commission will lease certain roads of the city from the the Lebanon Public Building Corporation, in order to provide a stream of payments that will ultimately pay the city's issuance of economic development lease rental bonds. The value of the roads that will be leased has been confirmed by Kevin Krulik. He has provided a spreadsheet that describes those roads and the values of those roads that support the maximum lease rental payments that are provided in the resolutions today. And so before you, you have two resolutions, which, as Rob indicated, will be taken, and Ben indicated, will be taken separately in a separate public hearing. But each of those resolutions describes the lease, how those payments will be made, from what funding sources, the maximum lease rental payment, and when those lease rental payments will begin. You'll make a finding determination that those lease rentals are fair and reasonable, and that the use of the leased premises under the lease throughout the term of the lease will serve the public purpose of the city and is in the best interest of its residents. So what we are asking in the resolution is to authorize execution of each of the leases. At the time the bonds are issued, we will make a final description of the leased premises before we record each lease. But we are asking for authorization to execute the leases tonight. The building corporation did approve the leases in their meeting and did sign, and so that's what we are seeking your approval as well.
Perfect. And so before we open to the commission, should we read the resolution, or are we going to open to? Okay. So we'll first read it in for the record and then go from there.
All right, Commission Resolution 2022-04, again, concerns a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease between the Lebanon Public Building Corporation as the lessor and the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission as the lessee that concerns the matters related to and what we're defining as the field house project for this resolution. Whereas the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission is the governing body of the Department of Redevelopment of the City of Lebanon and the redevelopment district of the city, and it exists and operates under the provisions of Indiana Code we define it as the Act, as amended from time to time to undertake redevelopment and economic development in the city in accordance with the Act. Whereas in order to foster economic development, the city, the commission, the Lebanon Building Corporation, and Card Associates Athletic Facilities LLCs or its affiliates desire to provide, again, for the acquisition, construction, or installation of equipping of approximate 190,000 square foot indoor sports complex featuring 8 basketball, volleyball courts, 2 fields to support football, soccer, rugby, lacrosse, baseball, and softball. And it'll include a mezzanine space, weight facilities, concession space, classroom space, tenant space, and pitching and hitting tunnels, as well as ancillary uses such as conventions and wholesales. Again, that's defined as the field house project. Together with public infrastructure improvements that will consist of roads, lift station, water mains, drainage, and related improvements, including a primary road and State Road 39 intersection, signal improvements, single and dual lane roundabouts, local lift station, drainage, and water mains. That's defined as public infrastructure projects. Whereas to provide for the financing and construction of the field house project, the commission has considered a lease between the corporation as lessor and the commission as lessee, with respect to all or a portion of the roads as described in the lease. That is defined as the leased premises. Whereas the commission intends to pay fixed annual rentals to the corporation pursuant to the terms of the lease at a rate not to exceed $3,700,000 per year, payable in semi-annual installments. Whereas the city is the recipient of local income taxes proposed under Indiana Code, that's defined as the LID statute, classified as certain shares, components of additional revenue derived from the tax rate under the LID statute and distributed monthly to the city pursuant to Indiana Code. Whereas on May 23, 2022, in accordance with Section 25.5 of the Act, the Common Council of the city adopted an ordinance pledging its monthly distributed share of LIT to the payment of the lease rentals due under the lease. on a parity with its pledge lit to the payment of the lease rentals for the Lebanon Public Building Corporation, lease rental refunding revenue bonds, Series 2013, dated August 13, 2013. Whereas the lease rentals due under the lease are payable from pledged lit revenues on a parity with prior lit obligation, or at the option of the commission, other revenues legally available to the commission. Whereas on May 9, 2022, the commission preliminary approved a form of the lease and was published notice of a public hearing on the proposed lease pursuant to Section 25.2 of the Act, and has held or will held in a minute a public hearing on this date concerning whether to approve the proposed lease, and all interested parties have been provided the opportunity to be heard at the hearing. Whereas the commission has received information on the value of the leased premises under the lease. Further, pursuant to the act, prior to the execution of the lease between the authority and the commission, the city council must approve the lease, and the city council did on May 23, 2022 approve the lease. Now, therefore, the commission finds and determines the terms of the lease are based on the value of the leased premises, that the fixed annual rentals to be paid to the commission pursuant to the terms of the lease at a rate not to exceed $3,700,000 per year, payable in semi-annual installments, are fair and reasonable. The president and secretary of the commission are authorized and directed on behalf of the commission to execute and deliver the lease in substantially the form presented at this meeting, with such changes in form or substance as the president or any officer of the commission shall approve. The commission approves the publication of the notice of execution of the lease in accordance with the act. President, vice president, secretary of this commission, and each of them are authorized, directed to take any further action and execute any instruments that are desirable to carry out the transactions contemplated by this resolution. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after adoption of the commission.
Good deal. So before I open for public comment, I do want to make one thing very clear. I have confirmed that there will not be a roundabout on State Road 39, nor on Interstate 65. Just want to make that clear before we open the public hearing. So with that, I will now open the public hearing in regards to Resolution 2022-04. If any public wishes to make a comment, please step to the podium and limit your conversation to 3 minutes. Dramatic crickets. Seeing no motions to the podium, I will then close the public hearing. So the public hearing is officially closed. Commissioners, any questions, comments on Resolution 2022-04? All right, so with that, Catherine, any additional notes for us? Emma and team? Very cool. Good deal. So on that, I would entertain a motion in regards to Resolution 2022-04.
Adopt 20-04 as presented.
So we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signal with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. And that moves us to our next resolution, moving right along, the third resolution of the evening, which is Resolution 2022-05. Yes, that is a trend, folks. 03, 04, and now number 5. Ben, back for some cliff notes.
I'll be extremely efficient on this one. This is essentially the same discussion as we just had, except for this is associated with the public infrastructure for the project, whereas the other one was for the facility itself. So with that, I guess I'll turn it over to Catherine to have the same discussion.
Catherine, you should just be excited. No one named Corey has messed your name up once tonight.
That's wonderful. I really don't have anything additional to add. As been stated, it really is the same explanation, except it's the public infrastructure project.
Good deal. Thank you very much. And with that, we will read the resolution in.
Thank you.
I know you're excited.
Commission Resolution 2022-05, again, is the authorization of the execution of the lease between the Lebanon Public Building Corporation as the lessor and the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission as the lessee. This is, again, for the public infrastructure project. This commission is the governing body of the Department of Redevelopment of the city, as we just discussed, as well as the redevelopment district of the city. In order to foster economic development, the city, the commission, the Lebanon Public Building Corporation, and Card Associates Athletics or its affiliates, again, desire to provide for the acquisition of this 190,000 square foot indoor sports complex that features all those examples that are set forth in this resolution. That's the Field House project, as well as the public infrastructure improvements that are also defined in what we read before that's set forth in here, and that's defined as the public infrastructure project. In order to provide for the financing and construction of the public infrastructure project, again, this commission is considered the lease between the corporation as the lessor and the commission as the lessee, which is defined as the lease with respect to all or a portion of the roads described in the lease. The commission intends to pay the fixed annual rentals to the corporation pursuant to the terms of the lease at a rate not to exceed $1,700,000 per year, payable in semi-annual installments. Pursuant to the act, the lease rentals are payable by the commission from a special benefits tax levied and collected on all taxable property in the district, except that the commission reasonably expects to pay such lease rentals from any other revenues legally available to the commission. On May 9, 2022, this commission preliminary approved a form of the lease and has published notice of the public hearing pursuant to the act, and will hold the public hearing in a moment. Whereas on this date, the commission has received information of the value of the lease premise under the lease. The commission desires to approve the execution of the lease and authorize publication under the act. Therefore, the commission finds and determines the terms of the lease are based upon the value of the lease premises, and that the fixed annual rental payments, again, will not exceed $1,700,000 per year, and that they are fair and reasonable, and the use of the lease premises throughout the terms of the lease will serve the public purpose of the city and is in the best interest of its residents. The president and the secretary of the commission are authorized and directed on behalf of the commission to execute and deliver the lease in substantially the form presented at this meeting. The commission approves the publication of the notice of execution of the lease in accordance with the act. And again, the president, vice president, secretary of the commission are authorized and directed to take any further actions that are necessary to carry out the transactions contemplated in this resolution. And the resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption by the commission.
Very good. That now concludes the reading of Resolution 2022-05 into the record. And with that, I will open the public hearing in front of the RDC for Resolution 2022-05. While we anxiously await folks to run towards that podium, just a high-level overview of what we've done thus far tonight. Essentially, we have amended the area that is the field house allocation area, making it more suitable to the project itself. And then round one in resolution was to essentially create a revenue stream against one of our biggest assets as a city and redevelopment commission, which is the roads. So much like you would use your largest asset at home, which is your house, we are leveraging the utilization of our roads. So high-level overview of what we've done this evening. Again, seeing no one rushing towards the podium, I will conclude the public hearing. So the public hearing is now closed on Resolution 2022-05, and I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 2022-05.
We have a motion to approve 22-05. Any seconds?
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion does carry. And I believe that concludes our meeting this evening. We will not be entertaining any claims tonight as it's a special meeting, so we will take care of that next week. So on that note, our favorite motion of the evening is to adjourn. Any motion? Motion to adjourn. Second. And a second. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for joining us for this special edition.